Written testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask that you summarize your testimony in 5 minutes. I'm going to start on the right here with Mr. Mayfield. You have 5 minutes, and you may begin.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Roy, Ranking Member Scanlon, and members of the committee for inviting me here today to discuss issues related to the 2020 census. My name is Trey Mayfield, and I served as counsel to the director of the Census Bureau at the end of the first Trump administration, during which time many legal issues concerning the methodology, accuracy, and use of the 2020 census were raised. Our Constitution is largely concerned with structuring our form of government and placing textual limits on power. The decennial census is one of the very few specific exercises of power mandated by the Constitution. The Census Clause is firmly lodged in Article 1 of the Constitution. It is, for constitutional purposes, a congressional responsibility. In order to apportion members of the House of Representatives among the several states so that House membership proportionately reflects each state's population, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 mandates that there be, quote, an actual enumeration, unquote, every 10 years. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment reiterates that requirement. When interpreting the Constitution, we must look to its text, using the commonly understood meaning of the words at the time it was ratified in 1788. The Constitution requires the actual enumeration. Not surprisingly, dictionaries from the time demonstrate that an enumeration requires an actual counting and not just an estimation of numbers. The founders were well aware of the opportunities for fraud to inflate or deflate a given state's population in order to alter representation in the House. For that reason, the federal government was charged with conducting the census and doing so by actually counting, not estimating, how many people were living in the United States. Since 1790, Congress has consistently reaffirmed in census authorizing legislation that statistical adjustments are prohibited in determining our national population for apportionment purposes. To be sure, census data is used for many purposes other than apportionment, including dispersing federal funds to states and localities, obtaining demographic data, and ascertaining the state of the nation in such ways as the Congress and President deem appropriate. Some kinds of statistical adjustment are permissible in performing those functions, but not for enumeration. Congress has mandated the census, quote, be as accurate as possible, unquote, and banned the use of statistical adjustments for enumeration because it, quote, poses the risk of an inaccurate, invalid, and unconstitutional census. Within those limitations, Congress has delegated responsibility for implementing the census to the Secretary of Commerce and the Census Bureau. Congress also requires the President report to Congress the total population of the nation, each state, and the number of representatives to which each state is entitled. There is no law, however, prohibiting the President from reporting additional information to Congress in that report, such as the number of illegal aliens in the count and what the results of the count would be in their absence. Congress has also prohibited the release of any census data whereby the person who provided the data could be identified. Purportedly to meet this requirement, civil servants at the Bureau apply a methodology to the 2020 census called differential privacy. It violates the Constitution's actual enumeration requirement and the congressional prohibition on the use of such methods. They refused to allow their method to be peer-reviewed or to disclose the data upon which they concluded the differential privacy was needed instead of the method the Bureau had previously used, known as data swapping. Using differential privacy altered both the count and the characteristics of individuals and households reported at the region, district, town, and census block level. In essence, the Bureau's reported population moved people around within states. For instance, when testing differential privacy using the data from the 2010 census, the population of Port Royal, Virginia was artificially increased 87%, while the population of Stony Creek, Virginia was decreased by 43%. In other words, differential privacy results in people from larger subgroups and geographic units being moved to smaller ones. Opposition to differential privacy was unanimous among census stakeholders. Every letter the Bureau received from outside scientists and statisticians came to the same conclusion. Differential privacy is illegal, it is data corrupting, and it addresses a non-existent problem. It was also opposed unanimously by governmental actors and interest groups for reasons as straightforward that using fake population data makes it difficult for governments to carry out core responsibilities, such as drawing district lines and determining where to locate bus stops and schools and how to allocate welfare. Studies since the 2020 census have confirmed that this is exactly what differential privacy does. It adds fake people to where they do not live and subtracts real people from where they do live. Thus, all of the reported enumeration census data from 2020 below the state level is false. I welcome the committee's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. I'll now